Bonjour tout le monde. Today we're going to talk about the Crusades, and they're kind of like my fourth stage. So, la quatrième étape, les croisades. Les croisades. Okay? Vocabulaire. Un pèlerin, celui qui accomplit le voyage de Jérusalem. A pilgrim. La Terre Sainte, l'ancien pays d'Israël. Le pèlerinage, le voyage à la Terre Sainte. Les péchés, ce qu'on fait de mal. Sins are péchés. Une croisade, une expédition entreprise pour libérer la Terre Sainte. Right? To liberate the Holy Land. Une croisée, une personne qui entreprend une croisade. That would have been the crusader. Les pèlerinages au lieu saint. Jérusalem, 3 fois sainte, juif, chrétien, et musulman. Jerusalem was a really important city, and it still is because it is the center of 3 major religions. Saint-Jacques de Compostelle, tombeau de Saint-Jacques. Saint-Jacques de Compostelle is Saint James of Compostelle, or also known as Santiago de Compostela. So it's a very important pilgrimage area. Les saints locaux, local saints. En Angleterre, Canterbury, relique de Thomas à Becket, etc. So here, you can see a map that would show the routes that people would take over the Pyrenees Mountains and along the northern part of Spain to Santiago, to Compostela. And that, once again, is a pilgrimage route. Normally people would start in Canterbury, they would go to Mont Saint-Michel, then they would stop at various places along the way in France to get to Santiago, then they would get on a ship and they would sail to Jerusalem. And it was a big thing that people did back then. I can't begin to imagine how people would do that back in the day, but they did. Wow. Okay. All right, les temps des pèlerinages. Le pèlerinage à Jérusalem, pardon des péchés. So people would go to get their sins forgiven. They would go to basically confess. Garantissait le paradis. It said that if you went to Jerusalem, you were guaranteed paradise. This is something that's kind of typical in a lot of religions. We go with it. Les musulmans prennent la Terre Sainte en 638. So this is the beginning of Islam. And they decided that they're going to take over the Holy Land. Well, it's holy to them too. Les pèlerinages continuaient sans problème. Yeah, everything was good. People were still able to go. Life was good. Everything was great. Vers 1071, les Turcs prennent la Terre Sainte. And that's when it all went to HE double hockey sticks and handbasket. Ils attaquent les pèlerins. Ils volaient et les tuaient. Ah, not good. So les croisades. So what happens here is this guy named Pope Urban II. I don't know what happened to the first, but the second arrives in France, and he is basically trying to get people all riled up to go to Jerusalem and liberate the Holy Land. So, Urban II, kind of an important guy, est venu en France prêcher une expédition en 1095 à Clermont. Clermont is a city in the center of France. Big cathedral, made out of lava rock. Kind of cool. Pour délivrer Jérusalem des musulmans, Dieu le veut, was the cry. In Old French, it was Dios le veut. But now it's Dieu le veut. Wow. Okay. So we see this little tableau that shows Urban II arriving in France to preach the crusade. Okay. And the Council of Clermont, the 20th November, 1095. And this is where the Pope preached his first crusade. And who went? Qui est allé? Des nobles bien équipés. So nobles, really well equipped. Think Robin Hood, etc. Les pauvres, mal équipés, the not well equipped poor people. Des enfants même, like they took their kids. Like, oh, look, darling, let's go to the Crusades. Ils ont cousu un croix de tissu rouge sur l'épaule. So they would put a red cross out of material on their shoulder, cross, ergo, croisé, right? The crusade. Problème? Bien sûr, il y a des problèmes. Ils sont morts de faim, de soif, et de maladie. And this was not something where you hopped on a plane and flew to Jerusalem. Oh no, they went over land, they took boats, they took horses. It was not a little late journey. This took a long time. Ils sont morts attaqués par les gens des pays qu'ils traversaient. Sometimes they never even made it out of their own country. They were killed by somebody else. Ils attaquaient les chrétiens des Juifs en allant à Jerusalem. So everybody was being attacked who was going to Jerusalem. Like everybody was being attacked. So this is sort of an example of what the well-equipped guy would look like. They would have their very fancy cross on their shoulder. They got their swords, they got helmets, they're clothed, they're able to protect themselves a little bit. And so, they were okay. But the poor people, not so much, all right? And some of these badges are very important still to this day in certain places, okay? So, let's talk about Richard the Lionhearted, Cœur de Lion, d'Angleterre à droite, et Philippe Auguste de France se croisa, right? So Philippe Auguste was a really important French king in that he was the one that did a lot of building in Paris. Like he really built a lot of the big important buildings, a lot of walls that surrounded the city. You can still see some of them, but you have to know where to look because a lot of them have been taken down. You can ask Abernay and Christopher about that. Okay, so and don't forget that Richard the Lionhearted is actually kind of a relative of the French here, but that's another story for later on. Les Crusades. So, la première vague a été massacrée. So the first wave of people massacred, not good. D'autres vagues sont suivies. So a vague is a wave, and they followed. On a pris Jérusalem en 1099. Les Francs ont fondé le royaume franc de Jérusalem. So they founded the Frankish kingdom of Jerusalem with a guy named Godefroy de Bouillon, Duke de Basse-Lorraine, who was the sovereign. But he refused to be called the king because, that was not his job. He was just a sovereign, and he was going to be in charge. Okay? All right. So here you can kind of see some of the ways that people traveled. So we've got Raymond de Toulouse, who left from Toulouse, and then Robert de Flandre, and Godefroy de Bouillon, and Bohemond de Tarente. He did a really short one there. And then Force Combinée, then they would all meet, and then they would combine, and they would go to Jerusalem. Okay? Kind of cosmic. Okay? So, le royaume de Godefroy de Bouillon, descendant de Charlemagne, right? Le royaume de Godefroy de Bouillon était le royaume franc de Jerusalem, the Frankish kingdom, not the French, but the Frankish, because they were still Franks back then. Chef de ce royaume pour un an, 1 year. Okay? Ce royaume a duré près de 100 ans, so it actually lasted almost 1,000 years, but he was only there for a while. Les Crusades. So there were 8 crusades between 1095 and 1270. Obviously, lots of different people did this, okay? Mené par des rois et des empereurs. Le 8e mené par Saint-Louis, roi de France, 1217 à 1270, la dernière où les Français ont participé. So that was the last crusade where the French participated. And it was led by Saint Louis, who was a king that has actually become a saint. And he's a really important king in France. He was a very good king. He met with the people on a regular basis. He was very pious. He was just a really all-around great guy, but still wanted to get the Holy Lands away from the Turks. Ok, les Croisés ont perdu et repris Jérusalem plusieurs fois avant de la perdre définitivement. So the Crusades were, they won and they lost Jerusalem several times before they finally said, that's enough, we're done. Okay, la huitième et dernière croisade. So this is a picture of Saint Louis leaving for the Eighth Crusade. Once again, I don't know if you can notice, but he's got the fleur-de-lis symbol on his outfit because, of course, he was the king, and that's a symbol of the kings of France. Do you remember Clovis? Clovis in the swamp with the... He was sucking air through the stem of the lilies so that he wouldn't get caught. Yeah, not a hookah. Sorry, that was not good. Anyways, so that's where the fleur-de-lis symbol comes from. Okay. So Saint Louis was Louis IX. A fait construire la Sainte-Chapelle à Paris. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Sainte-Chapelle à Paris, very important little place. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it because we just didn't have enough time. Deux croisades en 1248 et à nouveau 1270. Il est mort de la peste à Tunis en 1270. So he died of the plague in Tunisia. So that's probably why they didn't go ever again. Yeah. Louis IX et sa mère Blanche de Castille. So you know that Castille is in Spain. So Louis IX's mother was a Spanish princess, right? So, you know, and this is how things worked back then. People, royals got married to make their, you know, to increase their power, to provide peace between two countries. It was never a love match. It was very rare that that happened. All right, so l'abandon de la Terre Sainte. L'Europe a abandonné la Terre Sainte aux musulmans en 1291 avec la chute de la ville et port d'Acre. So when they lost the port and the city of Acre, they just said, we're done. It's too much for us. So here's a picture of Le Crac de Chevalier, which is a grande forteresse des Croisés. So forteresse, of course, is a castle, but it's a stronghold. Ergo the word fortress, right? A fort. It's a stronghold. Now you'll notice that there's the rempart, which goes around, right? You have des tours, right? And there's several remparts. Okay, it's at the top of a hill, right? So you can see your enemies coming. So lots of things that we're going to learn when we actually get around to building our castle. Okay, les conséquences, right? So obviously stuff came out of this. Les relations internationales difficiles. Les croisés ne comprenaient pas la culture ou la langue. Let's face it. When you come from an area where most of the languages are based on Latin and you go to a place where they're totally different, that can be really difficult. And they also had a very different religion going there too, actually two different religions. So it made for a little bit of tension, right? All right. Il pile Constantinople et les villes chrétiennes en route à Jérusalem. So, you know, why would you do that? Who knows? But that's what they did. So that wasn't always a cool thing. Massacre des Juifs en Europe et en Terre Sainte. So they were massacring people too. That's not really good. Massacre des chrétiens. Ils s'habillaient différemment. So people who weren't dressed like them, they would actually massacre. So not well thought out, right? Okay, so that's a consequence. It was not really good for international relations. On a pillé Constantinople, la capitale de l'ancien empire romain dans l'Est, en 1204. So here we have a reliquary from Constantinople at the finger of St. Nicholas. Yeah, I know St. Nicholas is buried in Bari, Italy, but his fingers are in this little thing. And the other reliquary that was